This is the Handshake Agency Podcast.
For the very first time on the Green Room, Mr. Bill Burr. Bill, thank you for coming on, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Neil? Thank you for having me.
I feel like I was just saying, I feel like I know that fucking room because I watch all your podcasts and you're always in that position.
Yeah, I keep it, there's a lot of weirdos out there, so this is all you get. This is all you get. I talk enough about my personal life, so I just have this background here. It's actually works out pretty good.
How you doing over there? It's what time is it in? Are you in LA right now?
Yeah, it's 6:05.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on, man, because obviously this show wasn't announced too long ago, and you told me am I the only interview you're doing for it?
As far as I know, yes. I mean, I don't know. It all depends. It's a weird thing because it's it's like a Zoom, whatever you kids call it, sort of internet show. There's really no, like, fuck, I got to get front row seats. Everybody has a front row seat, which is what's really cool about it. This is the second one of these that I've done, and they're oddly a lot of fun. I can't they have people's names and stuff, and you can just talk to them. It freaks them out.
Well, so like you mean like watching like this, and you're like, "Hey, Michael, fuck you, put the drink down."
Yeah. I mean, I'm nice about it, but it's like they're sitting there watching it's almost like they're watching a special, but then all of a sudden the guy calls you by your name. Hey, where'd the guy in the purple shirt go? It turns into it's a lot of fun. As much fun as you can have during a pandemic, but it looks like this stuff is hopefully coming to a close.
Yeah, so I mean, tell me about this. It's called the Nowhere Comedy Club. Is that just a nickname for an actual club that you're doing this out of?
No, it's a garage. It's a guy's house in the valley, and he just built like this studio in it.
Wow.
So I don't know how we came up with the name Nowhere. It might be the fact that you're in the middle of nowhere in the valley. Nobody has any idea that this place exists, yet you can broadcast to Australia, New Zealand, and stuff like that. So I don't understand how it works. I'm just glad the guy figured it out, so I can do this.
I mean, the last 12 months has been a crazy time, particularly for comedy, because, you do drive-in shows, you do Zoom shows. Are you used to this now?
Yes. Yeah, it's just, it took one show of being in front of cars to then be like, you just ears adjust. Like, oh, this is what killing sounds like now. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. The first night I did it, I was like, this is like, I felt like I was just doing my act inside of a closet or something. Then they did things. They started giving people like noisemakers and stuff, which before all of this happened would be unbelievably annoying. And one of the worst things that could happen would be give the crowd like noisemakers. And then that just acted with them. And it's a weird thing where with stand-up comedy, you're always listening to the crowd, whether you're even aware of it or not. And after a while, it becomes this autopilot thing where you're speeding up and slowing down, getting louder, getting more quiet, less aggressive. You just feel more aggressive. You're just feeling that's this push-pull thing the whole time you're up there. So to not be able to hear him, that was tough. But it just sort of adjusted to people in cars. So now it's like, oh, I can actually hear a muffled laugh. Oh my God, I'm killing.
So is this
this is a great show. Somebody just flicked their lights at me.
Well, that's it. Like, I'm doing this virtually. Like, even sometimes when I do this podcast, particularly over Zoom, it's the same shit. It's kind of like someone makes a joke and then there's an awkward glitch and a delay and then you'll hear them laugh. Is the technology up to speed with the stand-up shows?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, the ones that I've done where we've done that. No, there's been no, a guy walks across it doesn't do any of that. They I don't know what they have. Probably get brain cancer doing this show, but they have a great feed going in and out of there. No, I wouldn't do that to people. This business is, you got to give people a show and you can't screw them over. So I don't foresee that happening.
It's so good that you announced this show because, correct me if I'm wrong, the last time you were in Australia was 2015? At least.
Has it been that long?
At least here
yeah,
for work.
I settled down, had a couple of kids, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't miss the flight and the jet lag, but other than that, everything down there I loved. Like, I'm terrified of the oceans. It's the only oceans I've ever seen and beaches that make me go like, I would actually go in that water. And what's hilarious is you guys have all those sharks down there. But, Perth, the Little Creatures Brewery, that's one of my favorite, Australian beers. You just cannot get it out here, although I did quit drinking. Yeah, the last time I came there, I came in on Australia Day and landed in Perth. Yeah, I landed in Perth. That was a shit show. And I was just like, all right, these guys got some American blood in them. I thought I only saw people this hammered being this stupid in America. So I immediately felt at home, and it's kind of funny to see something like that and be like, oh, nice. Okay, I like these people.
Yeah, I was listening to your podcast when you announced it on Monday, and you said, like, just as you get acclimatized to the Australian time, you've got to fuck off back to America. Does it set in, like, towards the end of the trip? Getting over the jet lag, you mean?
It's pretty much the harshest one that I've done, as far as, like, you guys are like 14 hours ahead of me, I think. So going there isn't bad. The flight there, it's the flight coming back. For some reason, flying there, I usually leave at like 4:00 in the afternoon, have a meal, watch 2 movies, fall asleep. If that, I've killed like 4 or 5 hours, and then I sleep for 8 hours, God willing. And then I just got like 90 minutes, and then we land. And then I go, oh, it's easy. I feel great. And then like around 11 a.m., I just like, not even 11, I don't know what it is, whatever time it is there. I just like fall asleep. So but it takes about 4 days, days. But the tours I've done there have pretty much been like, tonight you're in Sydney, then Melbourne, then Perth. So it's just bam, bam, bam. So I'm kind of blowing through the country. And then right as I get acclimated and I'm going to hang out and see a city, it's like, all right, time to go. And then you end up flying back. So I think the last time I was there, I did Australia, New Zealand, and then I went up to Singapore, Hong Kong, and Mumbai, India.
Right.
And then from there, flew to New York City. I actually literally flew around the world on that tour. And that was the last, like, really big sort of, as far as travel miles and all of that. But it was I'm a huge AC/DC fan. So, I got to see, Bon Scott's grave, pay my respects. And just, I don't know, I got a friend of mine who's actually opening for me on this, Al Del Benny, who married an Australian woman and lives down there now. We started out in Boston together. So, he's actually going to be opening for me on this Zoom thing. But like, I try to work with him when I get down there, because obviously I don't get to see him. But I don't know. The old man in me enjoys the fact that I don't have to fly there. It's just the travel, but everything else is like, oh man, the people are funny, the food's great, and it's just, New Zealand's another great time. But it is what it is. It's a pandemic, so I got to do it how I have to do it this time.
Yeah, hearing you talk about the show as well, you sound very excited, and you said the actual quote was, "You don't believe how hard I'm going to go." Is this all new material, and is it all just going to be you just getting angry at the world, or maybe Australia?
No, it's definitely all new material. I won't be angry at Australia. I'll be psyched that you showed up in your living rooms, in your apartments, whatever. And as far as me, no, I am not as angry as I used to be. I don't have the misdirected anger. I still have the temper, but I have done a lot of work on myself in a good way. And I was always sort of nervous in the back of my head, like, oh, if you do that, then you won't be as funny. And it's not true. What you can actually do is add all this other depth to what it is you're doing. If you just walk around angry, it's a lot of this and that thing. And then once you get inside yourself, expose your flaws and stuff like that, as you're yelling about that stuff, you can still make fun of yourself. And I don't know, it's a lot more interesting to do it this way than the way I was doing it.
I'm just so glad you recovered from that crazy backlash of the 2021 Grammys. Jesus Christ. I'm kidding, by the way.
Yeah.
That was
No,
fucked.
most of the chatter is people saying cancel culture is ridiculous. So everybody's talking about something that's not necessarily happening a lot of the times. Oh, now they're trying to do this, or now they're trying to do that, and it's like, oh, they're banning this book. And it's just like they're not. You can still get the book. You can still do all of these things. I think the internet's really weird, where people completely flip out and get worked up over little stupid things and then completely ignore major things. Like, what did I see recently? Scientists said by 2050, the amount of plastic in the ocean is going to outweigh the amount of fish. I think that's a little bigger than a Dr. Seuss book. I might be wrong. I don't know. I think there's a comfort in flipping out about little things than actually stepping back and looking at this big thing, like being like, they're going to figure this out, right? Because I'm too dumb to figure this out. They're going to somehow vacuum up the oceans. The Great Barrier Reef is dying. They're going to figure this out, right?
The funniest part with the Grammys thing was you called it. You made the joke that people were going to come after you, and then people complained that you made a joke about them complaining.
Yeah.
It makes no fucking sense
so
to me.
Maybe it was my fault for doing that. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but like, all I can tell you is I had the best time, and I was like really thinking, like, to be honest with you, this is what happened. You get nominated for an award, right? And then they go, do you want to join the organization? And in your head, you're like, no. But you're like, well, I want to win. I don't want to piss these guys off. So, yeah, I'll join. You want to present? No, I don't want to present, but I want to win. So I'm like, okay. And I just kept doing that shit. And then I had like a panic attack before I went in there because I thought I was on the real show. I thought I was at the Staples Center with the guy from the news show there. Whatever, the host, right? And then I showed up for the rehearsal, and I'm like out in Burbank. I'm like, why would they have, let's see if we were a month out, and this is sort of some, to scale size of what we're going to do. I'm like, and then I realized, I was like, oh shit. And I said to the lady there, I was going like, hey, is this going to be on TV? And she was just going like, these are the Grammys. These are the Grammys. I go, yeah, but is this portion going to be on TV? She goes, this is all part of the Grammy presentation. She would not answer. She was like a politician, would not answer the question. I was like, oh shit, is this on the internet? Is what I am on being broadcast on the internet? And she goes, yeah, it is. And then I just started laughing because I spent all this money on the suit. And then I just had the best fucking time after that. I had a great time making the crew laugh, and the two people that were presenting before me and the woman after me were all cool. We just laughing, joking around. We had a great time. And now, if I'm ever lucky that they ask me again, I would almost request to be on the internet version of it, because that's where the fun is. You get on the TV telecast, it's just like, that's on network television. You can really get in trouble on network television. You know what I mean? Over here, we got like 3 old school channels that are left: ABC, NBC, and CBS. And those are the ones, if you're on cable, there's a different set of rules. If you're on streaming, there's almost no internet, there's no rules. But you stay on those old grandma, grandpa channels, and you go out there and, it's funny to me that people always get surprised when they get in trouble on network television. It's just like, this has been happening forever. So if you're going to go out there with your ass hanging out, shaking it in the camera, what's going to, I refuse to believe that they don't understand that that's going to happen. I just think it's one of that, any publicity is good publicity.
So like in the main room had your Beyoncés and your Taylor Swifts. What was like the caliber of celebrity in that second room in Burbank? You.
Me. A non-musician. The reality is I had no business being there to begin with. The fact that they found a loophole that a comedian can win a Grammy is you just put your shit jokes on a record and then you qualify. Somehow you even if you can't sing a note of music or even play a kazoo, you somehow still qualify. So the whole thing is there's something hilarious about it.
Dude, Chappelle is a 3-time Grammy Award winner now. He won the last 3 years straight.
Well, he's so good they should do that. So, but I mean, I'm just saying for someone like me.
This is a good segue.
What's up with cell phones? And the Grammy goes too.
That
I can walk up to Herbie Hancock. Yeah, I got one of those too.
That actually does remind me, because considering the shit show that 2020 was, it probably wasn't a bad year for you as far as careers go, because, you had the King of Staten Island, you had the Mandalorian, you debut hosting
I had a
of
lot
SNL.
of stuff in the bank that was coming out.
Right.
Now the well has dried up. So hopefully things open up soon, or Billy fades away, I think, if it wasn't for podcasting.
Yeah, well, can you tell me about the SNL? Because yours, Chappelle's, and probably Eddie Murphy, I think, were the 3 standout shows for SNL in 2020. Did you have a lot of fun doing that, or is that just a lot of unwanted stress?
Once again, it was something I had a panic attack before I went in there. My wife talked me off the ledge, and then I just said to myself, I'm not going to put my wife through this, threatening suicide for the whole friggin' week, basically. Not literally suicide, but, that's a lot of energy for someone to be like, no, you are good enough. And you do that for 7 days, and in their head, they're like, Jesus Christ, don't do the fucking show, right? So I was just like, all right, tomorrow's Monday. They don't tape till Saturday, so there's no reason for me to be nervous the next 5 days. Why don't I go in there and just have fun? I'm a huge fan of the show for almost 40 years. Why don't I, And then I went in there in that mindset, and then I sort of started talking shit to think positively. And, guys were like, you're going to kill on that show. And I kept going, I am going to do that. And it made me feel good, and it got me out of the self-loathing, stupid comedian thing. And I ended up having a great time. And I had so much fun that when it came time to do the show, I wasn't nervous. I just went out there. My monologue didn't do so well in the pre-tape. And then Lauren gave me great advice. He goes, listen, people don't know who you are. I know you have your fan base as a comedian, but nobody knows who you are that watches this show for the most part. So why don't you go out there and at least say hello? Nice to be here, blah, 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 blah. And that was... I'll never be able to repay him for saying that, because I think that's the reason why the monologue works so well. And I just remember it was like I was 4 jokes in, and I was like, oh shit, this is going great. And then I felt loose, and I was screwing around. I did, where's the camera? And I thought about it afterwards, like, oh man, I was just acting like I was in a club, and I was so relieved, because that was such a huge comedy thing in our country. That show is that you want to be part of the history, and you just don't want to be like, yeah, I did that. You want to do something worthy, of the show. And I knew I just had to get through the monologue, because then after that, those kids on that show are so damn good that you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of pros in these sketches for the rest of the show, and and they don't want you to bomb. Unless you're an asshole, probably, which I try not to be. So I ended up having I had a great time. And I left there. I had no regrets. I just had the greatest feeling of satisfaction when it was over. There wasn't that, that post of like, oh, now it's over. Nobody's calling me. I'm not special. They're going to move on to somebody. I didn't have any of that, because I got everything I could have possibly gotten out of that. And, I hope I do that every time I have a big gig. I'll be doing that this Saturday night on the internet.
Well, I was going to say, have you ever been in talks or wanted to be a part of the SNL writing team or main cast? Have you ever been in discussions for that?
No, I haven't, right. But I always wanted to be. I don't think there's any stand-up comic out there that didn't ever think about being on that show and killing on the show. And if you grew up watching it in the States, it's just like a big thing. There's certain things just as a comedian. Like I remember growing up watching comedians do panel on talk shows, sitting there and the guys that would come out there and they would just be killing and make the host laugh and everything. That was a huge thing. That was a huge part of being a comedian when I was growing up. It wasn't just coming out there, stand on the mark and do your 5 minutes of jokes and say hello. Like, that was the beginning. But the next level is you went over there and you built a rapport with the host, and the host got to know you and you got to know him. That happened with me and like Conan and Andy. Like, we just got to know each other. So they knew my rhythm, I knew their rhythm. And those guys are like such old school guys where it's like, if you're killing, they let you go. If they see you need help, like, I can't tell you how many times Andy and Conan have saved me in those interviews. And, that was just something I wanted to get good at, and being on SNL and hosting it, which I have to be honest with you, every year that went by that they didn't ask me, I was always relieved as much as I wanted to do it, because it just, like, the thought of it was just so huge, because it was something, it was probably because it's not a newer show. It's something that I saw when I was a kid. So, if you ever went on that set, you cannot believe how small the set is. You're like, all of this history happened from here to here. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you just mentioned that as well. The talk show stuff. When I'm watching you on your Kimmels and your Fallons and your Conans, you seem the most comfortable on Conan. But what do you mean when you say you think Conan saved you? Do you mean because, like, you're saying something that people are going to be pissed off about?
No. I never think about that, by the way. I never think about that. I'm listening to the crowd, just trying to make laugh. He said where it's just like, you're out there, you're riffing, just riffing. And when it's saving, it's starting to nose down. This is over. Hey, let me friggin' lob another one over the net for you. So he knows. Both of those guys, I feel like, I mean, they all do, but like, those guys are the ones that I started out with. They know when they feel it starting to dip, and they know that keep it here and up, and it's going to be a good interview. So they know when to come in. And they know when to let you go. And it's, then you can relax. Like, oh, okay, I got these guys holding me up out here. This is easy.
Yeah. You did that one with Fallon. I think it was a Christmas one. And you even actually said to him, fun. You're like, I knew you, like, that card is useless to you, because you could tell Fallon was trying to work with the card. It was well too late for that. It wasn't going to happen.
I know. I miss Jimmy. I actually got to called in and did his show. That guy, I've known him so long. I remember him asking me what it was like to be on TV.
Was that even before SNL?
He didn't have to ask me that long, because he asked me that, and I swear to God, what I was doing got canceled, and I want to say within a year, he was on SNL. It was unbelievable, and and he was always that nice of a guy. And it's funny how, like, negative and mean the world is, that so many people get upset that he's a nice guy and wants to make sure people are having a good time. Like, it's like getting mad at Santa Claus. Like, I just don't, I don't know. This guy just brings, he's just always been a great guy, and he deserves everything, that he has.
You sticking with stand-up pretty predominantly.
Trevor Noah.
Oh,
sorry.
Shit, the Grammys
I couldn't
host.
remember I'm the worst. Do you know I've been eating vegetarian this month, trying to, and I just ran out of ideas, so now I'm back eating meat. But it's funny, I never get sick eating chickens, but it's just, I, for the life of me, could not remember parsnips. Every time I went into the grocery store, I'd be like, parsnips. And then every time I would think about them, rutabaga. I kept thinking rutabaga, and it went back to Al Del Benny one night was doing a joke. Him and his friends, Bobby Kelly and Dane Cook, they just said, all right, you got to go on stage and somehow make rutabaga funny. For some reason, I never forgot that. I don't know. So I have this thing where, I don't know, my memory's going on me.
No, it's good. This will be good for Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah, you've stayed in stand-up pretty predominantly over the years. Obviously, you've done TV and film. But I remember I was watching, actually, the last time you were on Rogan, and you guys kind of talked about there were certain comedians who went into film and kind of stopped stand-up because they were getting too big, like your Steve Martins, your Eddie Murphys. Do you think, like, what is it about that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, the idea of, like, oh, more people think you're fucking hilarious. I'm going to stop now. What's the idea behind that?
Oh, there was money in it back then, too.
Right.
There was money in movies. I mean, if you were a character actor, you could make a really good living. And now, with just these black holes of media conglomerates that just are vacuuming up content, anything that they can have, and nothing has like a shelf life. It's just sort of changed. And I think, once you're like a movie star and you did all of those fucking gigs and you played all the hellholes and all of these places, and you're sitting in this nice house, you're married, you got a couple of kids, and you don't want to miss them growing up, the amount of time that doing movies takes, and you're going to add a stand-up tour and building your act up again, it's a lot to ask of one person. And and then at that point you start getting writers, and then you start drifting away from your voice and stuff. It's a very difficult thing to do. I would say to do both of those. You can do a movie, do an acting gig, but when I did that Staten Island thing, I was in the clubs as much as I could over the summer in New York, and because I knew, I know like that's my thing. That's where I'm supposed to be. But I love acting too, and I kind of love it the way I love stand-up too. So it's just like I just try to get better with each acting gig that I get. And I just try. I don't really do the acting thing for money. I just sort of, if something's interesting and it looks like it could be great, it's like, all right, I'll try to get in on that. And then there's other times I just fall into stuff like the Mandalorian thing, where that was Jon Favreau. When him and Rick Famuyiwa wrote the character idea, they had me in mind. And so that wasn't something that I was just like, oh, that looks cool. I didn't even know. I was not in that world. I was, I watched a lot of old movies and sports and stuff like that. So I'm so thankful that those guys, thought of me, because I ended up getting into this thing that I knew was cool. I had no idea how cool it was until the first episode I did that first season, and John was like, "Hey man, check out the trailer," And I was standing up on the scaffolding, and they had this thing. I always forget what they call that set, but you were surrounded 360 degrees by these giant TV screens.
Right.
And as I move talking to you in the scene, the background moves. Like the first time you're in that scene and the other actor starts moving and the shit behind him starts moving. No, you know what it is? The camera moves. That's right. What it is. The camera moves, and then the shit in the background moves. And dude, you almost feel like you're falling over. But anyways, I was in that thing, and he showed the trailer of that first season. And it reminded me of like the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns that I grew up on, except it was in space. And I was just like, oh my God. And then I felt stupid because the whole week, I knew it was cool. I didn't know. It's actually better that I didn't know it was as cool as it was going to be, because then I probably would have been overacting,
Is it true?
Doing that shit.
Is it true Favreau called you up because he heard you trashing on Star Wars and thought that's fucking hilarious? And that's when he got you in mind for that character?
No, but it is true, because when he asked me to be in it, I was out to dinner. It was a mutual friend of ours' birthday, and he was there. And how the hell did it happen? I said to him, he said, we got an idea, this bounty hunter guy where we picture you in the role. Would you want to do it? And I was like, John, I got to admit, man, I've been making fun of Star Wars. And to be honest with you, it wasn't like I was making fun of Star Wars like I hated it. I was just doing that comedian thing. I saw something that people really loved, so you make fun of it.
And there's a lot of fucking plot holes in Star Wars too. There's plenty to insult about it.
There's a lot of plot holes in me. There's a lot of plot holes in my act. I'm not going to get on people for fucking plot holes, but so that's really where it's now growing this whole myth, like a lot of things do, that like I always hated it. I was just making fun of it because it was held up so high. It's the same reason why I make fun of Oprah or Obama's wife. It's as a comedian, it's just teed up for you to just smash it out of there. But then the thing is there's people who really don't like the thing, so they get a kick out of talking to them. Hey, he's making fun of that fucking show you like, So that's what it really was. So I just said to him, I was like, I was going to be honest with you. I've been really making fun of this show. And he goes, I know. I listened to the podcast. He goes, I think it would be hilarious. I think the people listening to your podcast would find it funny that you were in it. Then I was like, really? And then my wife like elbowed me. And I knew that what it meant. It meant shut up, stupid, and just say yes. So this unwritten thing. So I said, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Yeah. And I was nervous going in there because I didn't know what it was going to be like. Because, those first 3 are very much for the kids. And which, I'm not against doing that. I was just worried if I could pull that off. And then I went in there and I met Rick Famuyiwa, and he's like, all right, I'm kind of doing like this Reservoir Dogs thing, meets a something else. And I'm like, all right, I love this guy. And he just has a way of running the set. The way he commands the set is really, really, really cool. Everybody knows he's in charge and he never has to raise his voice. It's like martial arts. It's amazing. Like, because, people get their ideas. Oh, I was thinking this, I was thinking that. And he just goes, what does he always say? He just goes, all right, now, all right. And then we all like, oh, that's right. It's Rick's set. He says something like that. It always cracks me up. I'm just like, he just put everybody, you just reminded everybody. Oh, that's right. I'm just an actor. I forgot.
Did you go in cold to The Mandalorian, or did you force yourself to now, okay, I've got to watch all the Star Wars now?
No, I went in cold. I went, well, I mean, it was a new show too. So, and then everything was secretive about it. So there wasn't much research if I was going to do it. But I know the basics. I saw the first 3. I saw the Jar Jar Binks one. And then that's where I just sort of tapped out. Like, I'm too old for this. And then I saw the one with Adam Driver. I saw that one on a plane. And I liked that one. And yeah, so I didn't know where his fit in, because now they're doing like all of these, like, it's amazing. It's almost like comic books where there's just some little guy sitting in the background and has 2 lines and then they just develop that person and it becomes a whole nother offshoot. I think that aspect of like how much content is out there is really cool. So yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I was talking to some friends about this podcast and saying you were coming up, and I'm assuming that the majority of people in the US know you from your stand-up. A lot of people in Australia who love your comedy know you, but I know a bunch of people, oh, you're from Breaking Bad, you're from Mandalorian. One of the big ones was, oh, he was in Chappelle's Show, wasn't he? But that was kind of like, that was literally 20 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, coming up on it, just about. I think 2003 is when I started on that thing, yeah.
Do you have many memories from that show? Yeah.
Ago. What's that?
Do you have many memories from Chappelle's Show, or is that just a lifetime ago?
It feels like a lifetime ago, but I remember it. Yeah.
Were you and Chappelle friends at that time? Did you know each other well?
Not the way we know each other now, but he was more... It was just the weirdest dynamic where, in my mind, he's always been older than me because he's been doing it longer than me. But he started when he was like 15 or 16. So he's like 5 years younger than me.
Right.
But there's something about him. He's like an old soul. And because he's been doing it longer than me, he was somebody that I looked up to. And it's so funny, man, because I remember he said to me, he gave me a really nice compliment when I was at the Comedy Cellar when I was, on my way up. And he said, your point of view is so fucking dope. If you just stick with what you're doing, it's going to take you longer to hit, but when you do, you're going to hit really hard. And, I've told that story a million times. I lived off of that. conversation for years on the road after that. He was right. It took a while for me to get there, but then like I kind of had his respect because he saw me and he liked my act. So when he got the show, there was a part in there. I think it was the Law and Order sketch was the first one that I did. I don't remember. Yeah, that one I don't remember. Like if that was the first. That part I don't remember which was the first one I did. But I did a sketch for them, and that's when I got to know Neil Brennan. He was directing them. I remember in the Law and Order sketch where they had me slam my hands down. Neil just kept making me do that over and over and over again to the point it was this metal table. And I didn't know as an actor you could be like, yeah, that's like, 18 takes. My hands hurt at this point. You got like a hand Band-Aid here? I put these in ice. But like that show, like some of the first cuts of those sketches that I saw, but they couldn't quite do it like that. That first cut of that Law and Order sketch, oh my God. It was still hilarious what they put out, but that first cut, the way that they did it, and the white dude's in prison and the black guy's out golfing and he's laughing and what the white guy was going through, they made it funnier, but they did it for real. And I of course, I liked the first one, and it really was a statement of racism, privilege, and the prison system. Like the whole fucking thing. I just watched it. I was like, whoa. Like I would laughed, and then the end there was like this Pryor moment. I felt Richard Pryor moment in the end where he made you think. And then of course, the suits looked at it and they're like, okay, not saying we don't like probably did the usual, but we do have to sell some product. So
the Chappelle Show coming back to do a new season with Netflix that rumor has been going for as long as Eddie Murphy's coming back to comedy as well. And I think that last special he did, where he was telling Netflix to get Chappelle Show off, apparently the rumors are that's their way of now meeting at a point where they'll start making new episodes. But I don't know. Chappelle seems like he's got enough on his plate right now.
Yeah, you'd have to ask him. If I had to guess, I would say that is done. But you never know. You never know. I mean, they brought Saved by the Bell back.
I forgot that. Holy shit.
I mean, you bring that one back. I mean, you can bring anything back. They got the cast. I remember they brought back 90210 and it was really good.
Everyone's saying the new season of Saved by the Bell's not bad either. And they're doing fucking Mighty Ducks with Emilio Estevez.
Oh, wait, Karate Kid. Karate Kid was unbelievable.
Cobra Kai, right?
Cobra Kai,
yeah.
What they did with it. You know what it is? It's the same thing with like Favreau. It's like fans got a hold of the story. And all this shit that they wished happened. And they have like Jon Favreau's passion for the Star Wars world is like, it's like whatever the thing you care about the most. Like this guy is just so invested in it. And the people that did Cobra Kai, bringing back the Karate Kid, like you can tell when you're just watching it, like how invested they are. They love it. They love this. So when you love something, you're going to take care of it and you're going to want to make it better. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of this stuff. So I don't know.
There was like a 10-year period where they were doing remakes and reboots. It just fucking sucked. And like in the last couple of years, they seem to have found a lane like Cobra Kai. I haven't seen Saved by the Bell, but apparently that's fucking good. And yeah, they're doing another Mighty Ducks now. With apparently everyone is coming back or has come back. I think they filmed it.
Yeah.
It makes no fucking sense to me.
They were shooting that up in Vancouver. Some of the people from that came out to my show. I got to meet Emilio Estevez, which was awesome. He came out to the show, like one of the nicest people I've ever met. And he was mentioning that they were bringing that back. So that's cool. And I got kids now, so they can redo that, and I can have I can have my kids watch it.
Do you, like, as someone who loves old cinema as well, you mentioned before, do you like or want to see more of these remakes or even like sequels? Like, I think they just greenlit Beetlejuice 2 earlier this month.
Well, I mean,
I mean, I know what you thought of the new Dumbo. I saw that Conan interview.
oh, the new Dumbo. Yeah, I messed up. I didn't know that was going to be what was that, Wes Craven or something?
No, it was Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Sorry. It was one of those guys that makes shit for adults. Yeah, I brought my kid there thinking it was going to be like Disney's Dumbo. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like that stuff is like, I'm not in that world, the world of like rebooting and stuff where, where I'm at is, I do podcasts, I do stand up, and I act when they let me, you know what I mean? And when they do, I just try to know my lines and do the best I can and not be a pain in the ass. And hopefully they'll use me again because I really do. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you go. I got one more question for you. That just came to my mind because of what you mentioned earlier about what Chappelle said to you. And I think you've mentioned this on your podcast as well. I kind of feel like in 2021 with fucking Twitter and cancel culture and all this shit, you, Chappelle, and maybe even Ricky Gervais seem to be the only comedians who either don't give a fuck or seem to avoid the cancel culture bullshit. People are always going to complain, but in no way has it affected you guys or you have to stop and issue an apology on fucking Ellen. You guys seem to have avoided that. And as you just said, what Chappelle told you, like what you do and the way you do it, I think completely combats cancel culture.
Well, I think it also helped. I'm just speaking for myself that I don't have a TV show. I mean, I have a cartoon, but but animation's like a different thing. I think the thing about it is when you get tethered to something that has advertising, they know how to complain and who to complain to. And then what ends up happening is it's like, listen, man, you're starring in this thing. There's 100 people's jobs are on the line. Can you just figure out a way to apologize to these bullies so they'll just leave us alone? And it becomes, I think at this point, I don't even think people are offended as much as it's become a new genre of entertainment. It's you remember everybody was trying to do the water bottle, throw it up in the air and have it land?
Yep.
It lives in that world. Planking, throwing the water ball up in the world, trying to get somebody who's making their dream come true, trying to end their dream is basically what it is. And then my favorite part is then they can never do their dream again.
No.
We're going to take your dream away, and then you can never try to rebuild your dream. Even though people get paroled from prison every day who've done things way worse than most of these fucking people. I mean, I've seen somebody get canceled for making an analogy that people didn't agree with. It's just like, it is what it is. But I mean, I think this is a time. I don't think this is a time to like shrink away from that stuff. And I think in the future, there's going to be a tremendous amount of shame, about the behavior of these people and what they did. There's going to be a documentary about innocent people that got caught up in this shit. Because, it's like a lot of things. It started off, what they're trying to accomplish was right. But then it just quickly, just gets grabbed by the masses, and then everybody applies their own theory to it. I would put that with like being woke. That whole thing where it started out, that was something that somebody black would say about somebody white. And then somewhere along the line, it was something that white people bestowed on themselves. It's like, you're woke, what? Because you say so? Like, there's no checks and balances. That's a closed fucking circle. I've observed my own behavior, and I've decided that I am a forward-thinking person. It's a fucking sketch. There's like, I've seen over here, they have that written on like yoga pants. I saw this woman going to get on a plane. I got this sort of running joke I do with Rachel Feinstein where we just people like that, like people who like are like trying to teach you how to live a better life, like on like Instagram. They have like paragraphs of self-help tattooed on their body. just in case you're behind them and you need to read something, because they got it all figured out. And this is my wisdom, which is actually somebody else's quote, but I want you to know what I live by. Just making fun. I took a picture of this woman. She had these yoga pants on. It says, be kind, but take no shit. Woke bitch and all this stupid shit about how badass and forward thinking she was. And it never dawned on you that those are mass produced and that anybody can buy those. And you didn't have to pass any fucking test to go in there and buy those. You could be in the fucking Klan and buy those as a joke and wear them to one of those Burning Cross rallies in the middle of the fucking woods. It's the stupidest fucking thing ever. But like, they're so fucking up their own ass that I really think, I don't know what the moment is going to be, but it's going to go the way of old music, disco, grunge, new metal and everything, where it just evolves into something else. And then everybody's going to pretend like they never did that. And I think they're going to be going back on Twitter, scrubbing their woke signaling horseshit.
I hope
because it's not, what they're claiming to be is not achievable as human beings, which is, I am not flawed at all. I never think anything sexist. I never think anything wrong. I never think anything racist. If your whole barometer is, I'm not in the Klan, therefore I'm not racist, you're really not listening to your inner monologue. And I'm not saying like you walk around thinking hateful shit. It's just the amount of times you look at something and make a judgment and it's completely 180 the other way. That happens to me all the fucking time. And the more the sun goes down and it gets scarier to be out, the worse my fucking thoughts are about people. So, and I don't think I'm unique in that. So, I there's no way I could ever advocate canceling somebody with not having a voice in the back of my head going, yeah, but what about you?
You can record this, use it for Saturday.
What's that?
Use this for Saturday. This is good.
Well, I already did it on your show, so I'm one and done with this.
Bill, thanks so much.
There's a lot of unexamined people that think they're heroes.
Yeah. Well, I know the flight sound is very unlikable for you, but Australia's doing okay. If you want to quarantine for 14 days in Australia, you're more than welcome.
What if I already got the vaccine?
Well, actually, I don't know. What does that? I don't.
You guys recognize that down there?
I'm looking at Zig. He seems unsure. I have no fucking idea. But I know,
you guys have the vaccine down there?
It's been rolled out much slower though. But I know, like last month, Russell Howard toured. Daniel Sloss is here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, they've got a.
Are they doing shows inside in venues?
Yeah, but like it's
packed houses.
I'm like, as the seated capacity and 75%, I think. But like still performing in front of crowd. But I think it's
shit. What am I doing the internet for? I should have gone over there.
Well, no, it's complex. You got to get tested like every day up until, tested before you get on the plane, tested after you get off the plane.
It doesn't even bother me anymore, dude. I don't even feel it. I just had one. My daughter caught a cold from some kid at school, so we just had to make sure it wasn't COVID. Turned out it wasn't. But like the lady came up and I'm like, all right, here we go. I can literally stand there where someone takes a Q-tip this long, puts it up my nose, and I don't even flinch anymore.
Well, fuck, if you want to quarantine for 15 days, I mean, like, it'd be good to be performing in front of people. You don't want to quarantine?
For 15 fucking days? I got too much of a life back. I feel like I don't have 15 minutes to myself. 15 days?
Well, the option's there if you want, but apparently not. That's fine. We'll see you Saturday anyway.
I like that. I like the way he did that. The option's there, but apparently not. So there we go. We got a little controversy. Someone's going to take that little clip and be like, Bill Burr says no to Australia. He'll do it in his pajamas from his living room. If
the vaccine gets rolled out and everything's okay, will you just be going on tour for an indefinite amount of time? Like, would you want to come to Australia and the UK and Europe if you are allowed to travel, or are you kind of happy being throughout America?
I would just do it around my kids' school years, though.
Yeah.
That's just how I do it now. So, being a dad is definitely changed the way I tour, but it's made me like a better comic and everything. And I'll make sure that I get to all of these places as much as I can. But like, I also don't want to, one of the great things about this quarantine is I got to be home for the whole year, taught my daughter how to ride a bicycle. It's like one of the biggest thrills I've ever had in my life. It's, totally eclipses SNL and Star Wars and all that, to just see the look on their face. It's like you taught them how to fly. It's the greatest thing ever. So it hasn't been all bad, but I definitely, I miss going out and just being an idiot on stage and just like, my favorite thing was to see the people in the crowd that probably got brought there and didn't necessarily want to go, and breaking them, getting them finally where they're just shaking their head and they have to laugh. That's like one of my favorite things, because I got to be honest with you, a lot of people that have allegedly got upset with shit that I've said, I always look at them like, if I hung out with that person for 15 minutes, we'd be getting along. You don't know who somebody is by listening to a joke or a tweet. You know what I mean? I've talked to you for almost a fucking hour. I don't know anything about you. You know what I mean? So then what? I'm going to watch one clip from an interview and let me tell you something about Neil. He's the typical like,
finish the sentence, Bill. The typical what?
The typical fucking know-it-all, fucking whatever they would say, whatever those terms are.
The amount of people that said, "Hey, can you get Bill to tell me to go fuck myself?" Maybe you should do that for Cameo. You'd make a lot of money. It would only take like 7 seconds of video.
All right, well, I'll keep that in my back pocket.
Bill, thank you for coming on.
I heard one of the great things in my life when the first time I went to Australia. I was in a bar and I heard this guy say, "I'll headbutt your teeth, you fucking cunt." And I was just like, wow, man.
What did you say to make him say that? We aren't that fucking mean.
No. I didn't say anything. It was somebody.
No, what did you say to make him?
It might have been an Australian comic talking about some asshole in the crowd.
Right, okay. Jesus
And it
Christ.
just was such a specific, dude, the headbutt it's fucking hardcore, right? Because it's just...
And in the teeth,
punching somebody in the face, you're going to hurt your hand. But, you start messing with your hard drive, it's like you're a lunatic. And then also just feeling somebody's head smashing against your teeth. I just can't imagine the pain of that. And I was like, yeah, this guy's dialed in on the violence over here.
Man, I can't wait for Saturday. Bill, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
I'm such
Thank
a big
you for
fan.
helping me promote. And I'll see you guys.
See you on Saturday.
On the internet.
Neil Griffiths is a podcast from the Handshake Agency Network, produced by Neil Griffiths, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker, executive producer Craig Treweek.